I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And a moment of silence. Thank you.
Oh, I got the short chair again.
Just to make up for your great stature.
That's what I should do. Just I don't.
All of you are regulars, I believe, so you're already aware that the meetings are being recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel in the near future. Since our last meeting, I don't believe we've actually had any executive sessions. Jeff and I were at CCAP together, but I think we spent all of 30 seconds together over lunch. And the early intervention program on the 26th, we met with the accounting firm that's handling our EIP, and I think we chatted for an hour about existing projects, pretty much everything that's already in work sessions. No correspondence that I'm aware of, unless the board wanted to bring anything.
I don't have anything at this time.
Very good. No cause for public hearing. At this time, if any of you are here to address the Board of Commissioners with any issue that you wanted to raise with us, I would entertain it at this time. Please just tell us who you are, what township, or municipality you're from, and we'll try to limit it to like 5 minutes if you have anything. Mr. Abel?
John Abel, now Pine Grove Township.
Oh.
I just had a question related to work session on Monday. We discussed potentially getting a DEP official to your next work session to discuss some air quality issues. I was just wondering if anything had been arranged.
Not yet.
I have put a couple of phone calls in, but I have not gotten anybody to respond back yet.
Okay.
I have a person in DP that I have to contact today anyway, so I'll follow up with them too.
Okay. Should I call in tomorrow or later today? Okay. Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
You're good. Thanks. Anything else? Very good. Then we'll move on to the regular agenda. Has everyone had a chance to look at the agenda? Is there anything that you need to add? Hearing none, then we'll move on to the minutes. Have you had a chance to review the minutes? Did it meet with your approval?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Fiscal report. By the way, first of all, I wanted to welcome Eric Hearn, the new fiscal director. This is his first meeting, so we'll go light. Thank you very much for joining the team. We're really excited to have you aboard.
Thank you. I'm glad to be, really happy to be here. You have the fiscal report in front of you, just to go as a summary. The general fund and Erie accounts have approximately $121,000 in the two. There's no payables at this point. Just cleared those out, and as you can see, the healthcare is about $55,000 estimated. The difference between last year and this year, if you're wondering, is primarily due to the TAN. Last year, you folks borrowed more than you did this year so far. So
Okay.
that's the main difference.
And we just authorized another draw of the TAN, I believe.
I heard it was in process.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it
I
yet.
signed something yesterday about it, so that'll, by the next meeting, I'll jump up to $1 million, which I believe is in line with last year. So, if anything, we're a little bit lower than last year. I think we were able to wait a little bit longer than the previous year.
So this is something new that we're signing?
Yeah, rather than just the treasurer in the past, the treasurer just was able to send an email and copy us saying, bank we're authorizing you to draw $500,000 and payable to Warren County Commissioners. Key Bank's new regulations want us to sign off on it, so we're physically signing a piece of paper that's on Pam's desk.
Yeah, aren't we signing the paper for the first time and then he'll be able to do it from there on out?
No, you still have to sign the paper. What that does is it will eliminate the phone call.
Right, so before, not only were we signing the paper, he was authorizing it, and then in addition, they were calling one of us in order to verify it.
Oh.
And so by signing that paper, we made the treasurer able to just do it, but we still have to sign a piece of paper.
That clears it up. I thought when we signed that, it just meant that we didn't need to do that. But
I wish. All right, any questions for the fiscal director?
No.
Very good. The next two proclamations, I'll take a stab at reading, and then Jeff, would you read the second two out of deference to Commissioner Morrison's cold? I will not strain her voice today. First one, National Telecommunicators Week. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property, and whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Warren County Communications Center, and whereas the Public Safety Telecommunicator is the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services, and whereas the Public Safety Telecommunicator is the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information and ensuring their safety, and whereas the Public Safety Telecommunicator of the Warren County Communications Center has contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients, and whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year, therefore be it resolved that the County of Warren, Pennsylvania declares the week of April 8th through the 14th, 2018 to be National Telecommunicator Week in Warren County in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our county and citizens safe. Many of you may know that I'm a volunteer firefighter, the president of my department, and also an ambulance driver, EMS provider. And so I regularly communicate over the radio system with our telecommunicators. And honestly, I hear Erie counties and other counties as well. Our people really, really do take it a step beyond the basic need. They really are fantastic telecommunicators. They're not only very knowledgeable about their job, but they really do show compassion. So this is a proclamation that's near and dear to my heart. And we want to do everything we can to honor and thank them for their service. We have a quality assurance test that we have to go through on a regular basis, I think actually weekly, and we have one of the highest in the region in terms of QA. All of our telecommunicators have recently scored in the A+ kind of category in the 95 percentile, which is really quite incredible. There's no weak link in our department, so I'm very pleased with them. Any comments from the board on that proclamation? Next is National Crime Victims Rights Week. Whereas Americans are the victims of 20 million crimes each year affecting individuals and communities, and whereas years of investment in crime victims' rights and services have developed a system of victim response that can help victims recover from crime, and whereas reaching and serving all victims of crime is essential to supporting thriving communities because those who receive holistic services and support are more likely to remain invested in their communities, and whereas dedicated victim service providers are working every day to meet the needs of crime victims, yet there are still too many victims without meaningful access to rights and services, and whereas many victims face barriers such as isolation, distrust of authorities, language limitations, lack of transportation, or cultural barriers that keep them from accessing the services and criminal justice systems that can help them recover from crime. And whereas we must make a dedicated effort to expand the circle of those prepared to respond to victims and link them to the resources that can help them recover. And whereas engaging a broader array of healthcare providers, community leaders, faith organizations, educators, and businesses can provide new links between victims and services that improve their safety, healing, and access to justice. And whereas National Crime Victims Rights Week provides an opportunity to recommit to ensuring that all victims of crime, especially those who are challenging to reach or serve, are afforded their rights and receive a trauma-informed response. And whereas the Warren County Victim Witness Program is hereby dedicated to strengthening victims and survivors in the aftermath of crime, building resilience in our communities and our victim responders, and working for justice for all victim survivors, now therefore be it resolved that we, the County Commissioners of Warren County, join A Safe Place and communities across the nation in recognizing the week of April 8th through the 14th of 2018 as National Crime Victims Rights Week. Any comments from the board? Very good. Commissioner Eggleston, I would ask that you read the Sexual Assault Awareness and National Library Week proclamations.
Sexual Assault Awareness Month Proclamation, April 2018. Whereas more than 30,000 people in Pennsylvania seek services each year from the 50 sexual assault centers that serve all 67 counties in the Commonwealth, and 1 in 2 women and 1 in 5 men have experienced sexual violence other than rape in their lifetime. And fewer than 5% of completed or attempted rapes against college women were reported to law enforcement. And women have a 50% to 95% chance of developing post-traumatic stress disorder after being raped. 41% of women reported experiencing physically aggressive street harassment, and 18% of men reported experiencing verbal street harassment. 67.5% of instances of rape are estimated to go unreported. 1 in 6 boys are sexually abused before the age of 16, and only 26.2% of men who experience childhood sexual abuse disclose at the time of the abuse. Among college women, 9 out of 10 victims of sexual assault knew the person who sexually assaulted them. In 2017, A Safe Place reported and provided services to 58 men, women, and children who experienced sexual abuse. Sexual violence creates a climate of fear, anger, and disbelief in the workplaces, college campuses, and communities that it occurs in. And prevention starts with challenging victim blaming and believing survivors when they disclose. Individuals can model supportive relationships and behaviors, call out harmful attitudes, and challenge the societal acceptance of sexual assault. And we must work together to educate our community about sexual violence prevention, supporting survivors, and speaking out against harmful attitudes and actions. In 2018, the national slogan declares "Embrace your voice," and asks the community to use your voice to prevent it, believe survivors, challenge victim blaming, and respect boundaries. Now, therefore, be it resolved, we, the Commissioners of Warren County, join A Safe Place and communities across the nation in recognizing the month of April 2018 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Thank you. And I would just say that having had, a pretty good understanding of A Safe Place, I think it's a fantastic organization and very needed, in the community. And I would just, take the time to thank them for the work that they do, and do our best to recognize them in April for doing a very difficult job for the community. The second proclamation is of a very positive nature, in that I think, and this is something that Kelly Knapp had contacted us about, and I would like to thank Andy Thomas for being here today to represent the library as a board member of the library, to declare April 8th through the 14th National Library Week in Warren County. Pennsylvania libraries have long served as trusted and preserved institutions and treasured institutions, and library workers and librarians fuel efforts to better their communities, campuses, and schools. Warren County librarians are organizers and information experts who for over a century have guided people to the best information resources. Librarians provide the expertise, services, and guidance for patrons to access credible sources and information, making their own informed decisions about the worlds they navigate. Warren County libraries and librarians offer more than books, offering opportunities for community engagement and delivering new services that more closely connect communities and their needs. April 12th is honored as Take Action for Libraries Day, a day which encourages everyone to recognize how libraries enhance communities and the quality of life for patrons served. Warren County libraries and librarians open a world of possibilities through introductions to STEM programs, workforce development, life planning seminars, and instilling a sense of the power of reading and lifelong education. Warren County libraries support democracy and affect social change through their commitments to providing equitable access to information and access to technologies for all library users, regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, and socioeconomic status. The Pennsylvania Library Association's PA Forward initiative provides a collective voice for libraries throughout the Commonwealth to tell their stories and build capacity for the work they do with and for patrons. Warren County librarians work to serve all community members, including people of color, immigrants, people with disabilities, and the most vulnerable in our communities, offering services and educational resources that transform communities' open minds and promote inclusion and diversity, particularly as society continues to transition to the digital landscape. Pennsylvania libraries, librarians, library workers, and supporters across America are celebrating National Library Week, which is celebrating its 60th year in 2018. Therefore, be it resolved that the Warren County Commissioners proclaim National Library Week April 8th through the 14th. 2018 residents are encouraged to visit their local libraries this week and beyond, exploring all the libraries have to offer. Remember, literacy is power. Libraries provide the fuel to move Pennsylvania forward. And I was really glad that Kelly contacted us about this. Kelly Knapp, who is the executive director of the library, because I think it's really important to do everything we can to draw attention to the enormous influence that the library has in our community, and also to draw attention to the gem that the community has in the Warren Public Library and the Warren Library Association. In drafting this and finalizing it, I was thinking a lot about my own memories of the library, because I think it's important for people that utilize the library to share their utilization of the library so that everybody understands how important it is. I have very vivid memories of studying for classes, doing reports, pulling books from the library. I learned to draw because of the library. I borrowed all of the books that taught me how to draw. They had tons of them in there. I loved them. I borrowed books on football when I was obsessed with football for a period. I borrowed books on history when I was obsessed with history for a number of years. I regularly go in there and read magazines because it's way cheaper to go to the public library and read them than it is to have $25 subscriptions to all these various magazines. I've borrowed DVDs, everything. There's tons of stuff in the library. I highly recommend that you go there, that you enjoy it, that you experience it, and that you support the library, because it's one of those things that I just have the sneaking suspicion that if we take it for granted, it's not going to be there anymore. And I don't think anybody realizes how much they're going to miss it until it's gone. So April 8th through the 14th, National Library Week. Think about it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Morrison, did you want to add anything? Very good. Thanks for taking the initiative on that. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda, the minutes from March 14th, the fiscal report, and the last 4 proclamations that were read.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Any public comment? All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. On to new business. First thing on the agenda is CDBG Resolution 3105, and to present that to the board, I would ask Lori Dunlap to step up.
Step up to the plate. In our never-ending process to keep on top of the money and spending it in a timely fashion, we are going to move some money that needs to be put into a current project so that it can be spent. We have $88,071.77 that we're going to move into a project. Two of the biggest things that we're moving money out of was in previous fiscal years we've established residential sidewalk programs in Tidiu Borough and Clarendon Borough that any qualified, basically by income and home ownership, property owner could have their residential sidewalk replaced free with CDBG funds. It was not as popular as we'd hoped. In Clarendon, we replaced 1 sidewalk, despite, things in the paper and notices at Condax and in the post office, and I'm not sure why people didn't want help. Yes, sir?
May I ask, what was the process for someone to initiate the sidewalk redevelopment with the CDBG? Just calling you, and then basically would they work with you on an application,
Mm-hmm.
and then
we would fill out an application,
Okay.
and they would bring information to verify their
Okay.
home ownership and their income.
Mhm.
And then we had to get quotes. from
And this was in
contractors.
Clarendon and Tidiu.
Tidiu boroughs. In Tidiu, I guess somewhere with that, we did replace 4 or 5 sidewalks, spent about $17,000 in the city, and the borough has been doing a major push to get residential sidewalks fixed. And so they had even passed an ordinance about sidewalks, and they had sent letters out to people who had bad sidewalks to contact me to see if there was any funding available, and I got a handful. But the money's getting old, it's not being spent, so I have let the borough councils know that got to move that money into something. Few other extra $1,000 for projects that were completed under budget. So where these funds are going into is in Bear Lake on their Center Street, on the lower portion of it. They need some help with their stormwater. It's running amok.
That's a technical term, right?
That's a technical
Yeah.
term. They've asked for CDBG funds to hire an engineer to come in and do a field study and see what can best be done to control the water from eroding the sides of the roadway and people's driveways. There are some sluice pipes here and there, but they have, on Center Street, they're either crushed or gone or wrong shape or whatever. So they asked for engineering funds. So right now, we'll have an RFP out to hire an engineering firm to design that. And then next year, we'll use these funds for construction to put some sluice pipes in, etc.
Question about the sidewalks. Was there a matching portion to that?
It's a gift.
Unbelievable.
No lien, nothing.
I feel like that's something that there would need to be a greater degree of engagement, maybe by the Commissioner's Office, by others, to kind of push the program, because I just, when people read, even if they read it in the newspaper and stuff, I think there's a little bit of hand-holding with some of the people that might be involved with it.
Well, unfortunately, the people that we needed to reach probably weren't receiving the newspaper.
You know, right, there could be that, but that's why in Clarendon, you know, I made bright
Signs.
neon signs that all would put up in contacts and at the
There's
post
a-
office and.
There's a big sign outside the courthouse that says, "No guns." Big sign. And there's people that still
Bring them.
walk. I didn't know I couldn't bring a gun in the courthouse.
And I've done this in other municipalities too, and for some reason have not found it well received. I would like to do it in my neighborhood in North Warren.
Yeah, that seems like that should be a no-brainer for a lot of them. So.
What about our own courthouse sidewalk? We could use it.
Oh, yes, we could. We tried.
Yeah.
Any questions? Anyone need to that?
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Anyway, I asked that you move this money around so we can get spent.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve Resolution 3105, which rebudgets unspent balances from 2013 through 2015 of CDBG money?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Public comment? Yes, thank you. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Can I have the resolution so we can sign it?
You just want to sign it now? All right, next on the agenda is an agreement with Lexis Nexis. This has been a topic of great discussion over the past couple of years regarding the jail law library. By law, we have to allow inmates access to essentially their own legal counsel by accessing the law. And the agreement before us is for $103. It's a monthly, retainer, I guess if you would, with Lexis Nexis, so that the jail can give access to the law library to inmates. Are there any questions? Did I hear a motion?
Any data on how often it was used last year?
Yeah, I did ask that. It was like, a half dozen times or something?
Yeah, the challenge is that it's a legal requirement.
Good.
Yeah.
Just
So.
curious. Sorry.
Oh well. Any other questions?
No.
Then I'd entertain a motion to approve the agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Public comment? All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next on the agreement, on the agenda is a mediation settlement agreement. This is for charge number 533-2017-02733 in the amount of $7,000. This is something we briefly discussed at the work session the other day. Any questions from the board? I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Public comment? All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next is an amendment to our agreement with Maximus Consulting Services. We passed this agreement last year. What they do is come in and do a cost allocation plan for the county. And that means that agencies within the county that use our common resources, such as fiscal, HR, even the commissioner's time and such, that are reimbursable by the state. So there's essentially like state-funded agencies that work for the county, such as the Domestic Relations Office, 911, etc. What this cost allocation plan is it allows them to bill the county, bill the state for the county's time in administering it. So it's very helpful for recovering some of the costs that go into maintaining records and such for HR, fiscal, etc. We passed it last year, and then we're not able to provide the data in an amount of time that was enabled them to perform the work, and so we are now amending the agreement with them in order to cover calendar years 2018 and 19. So they'll be doing the work here in the coming months, working with the fiscal office in order to provide the information in order to do the cost allocation plan. This is something that the courts have requested that we do. Are there any questions about it?
No, I just mentioned that again. This was a recommendation of the state.
Right, a strong recommendation of the state.
In order to utilize this, and technically speaking, this should actually save the county money because their ability to provide proper cost allocation allows the state to reimburse us more money.
I can't recall what the exact amount is. 7,000 sticks in my mind. Was that actually in here?
It was 7,500.
7,500. Okay. But anyway, it wasn't spent last year, so we're really just kind of pushing it forward and doing it now. I would entertain a motion to... Oh, there it is. Thank you. Exhibit B. I'd entertain a motion to approve the amendment.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Public comment? All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. That is it for the new business. Personnel transaction at the last salary board, we passed the position for county detective, a rate increase to 32.05 cents an hour. The district attorney has since then hired Brian Zabel. The effective date, that's right, of April 23rd, so in a month. We have also, the courts have promoted Michael Grubbs from, I believe he was the juvenile probation chief deputy. Oh, and now he's the chief. And Brenda Beers is taking his position now as the chief deputy. Separations, Carl Leichenberger has resigned. Alex Keeney is resigning from maintenance. And John Girardi has retired from juvenile probation. I'd entertain a motion to ratify the personnel transaction report as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Public comment? All those in favor, please state aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Any commissioner comments, announcements, things to bring to the board? Last chance for the public comment. All right. Oh, sorry.
I just do have one. As you know, there are 2 public comment periods going on with EPA regarding air quality issues. Just noticed yesterday that the EPA has now opened their comment period for the Warren non-attainment area, Silver Dioxide non-attainment area. I believe that's a 30-day comment period. I don't know if you were notified or not, but I'll be sending you the link.
Okay. Thank you.
I Just as a note, I've been going back through my emails because there's a government liaison for DEP that we generally get emails, announcements on, and so my goal is to try to have those separated and then try to make a case of sharing them either on social media and then and then in public meetings and whatnot, in order to kind of because going back through them, there are some things that I think that it would be good to call attention to them, even.
I was thinking for the correspondence section, what I would recommend, I suppose, is that if something comes across our desk or the chief clerk's desk that we're interested in bringing to the meeting, I think rather than kind of me trying to go through it and decide what you think is relevant, or even asking the chief clerk to do that, if you see something that you want to be brought up at the meeting, simply flag it, like where we have our names and we initial it, just check that you want it to be brought to a public meeting, and I'll announce it at that correspondence section. But I think that's the best way to make it work at this point, is let each of you kind of decide what you want to bring to the board. Sound good?
Very good.
Okay, then I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You guys